Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. I'm Becky Parker Geist and I'm your host. Audiobook Connection is your place to learn about the audiobook creative process and for authors to learn valuable tips on producing and marketing your audiobooks. This podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is focused primarily on content for publishers, people who have more than one title, typically a front list and a back list, have many titles, and are just looking at getting into audio and how to step into that world. This episode is for you. If you have felt daunted at all by the world of audio, uncertain about which way to go or where to start, if audio feels like that dark forest of unknowns, don't worry. We're going to step through some of the top 5 tips I have for you as a publisher just getting into the world of audio. Tip number 1. First of all, you're typically going to want to lead with your best sellers. Now, I do recommend that as you're getting started, you may just want to start off with 1 to 3 titles as you're beginning your relationship with an audiobook producer. That's partly so that you can learn the process and develop your own workflow with your producer, and so you can get a feel for it. So you know what to look for, where the potential challenges may be, so you can get those ironed out. It's also because you want to, by leading with your bestsellers, you want to have the best chance, the best foot forward in terms of your return on your investment. If you start with a title that's already having a lot of challenges, you won't know whether, if the audio has challenges in terms of sales, you won't know whether it's the title or something else, right? Or the fact that it's an audio. So if you lead with your best sellers, it's going to give you that best chance both for return and also to get some results, some feedback about how audio can work for you and also what you'll need to do from a marketing perspective to help bring your audio to its fullest potential as you're working with the multiple formats of each title. Tip number 2 is keep in mind that audio is also a great way to either relaunch a backlist title or a title on the front list that needs a little extra boost right now. You may have had great sales with a title and then it's starting to trickle off, and you may want to use an audio release as a way to give it that extra boost so that you can keep seeing those sales going up. As I'm sure you know well, there are lots of ways to launch a book. Audio can be a part of a book launch. So at the beginning, you can have all formats ready to go at the same time. But audio also can be done as a separate launch. So either a coordinated launch or a separate launch. I have a whole episode just about that process. But as a publisher, you'll want to be thinking about what titles are going to work the best for you and how you want to leverage the audio for each title that you're choosing in your overall marketing plan. Tip number 3 might sound like a no-brainer. It should be, but it doesn't always work out that way. So let me explain what it is and why. It's work with a production company that has the expertise and experience that you can rely on. You want to have a reliable partner. First of all, you don't want to be trying to figure all of these things out yourself. I'm sure that you have plenty on your plate already without trying to learn a whole new segment of the industry. Trust me, there is a lot to it. So rather than trying to figure all of that out, you really want to have a partner that already knows the ins and outs, that knows where the hurdles are, that knows where the opportunities are, and work with a partner like that. Also, a partner that has an existing process for this work so that you can experience what the flow of production can be. Now, the reason I started off saying it should be a no-brainer, but maybe it wouldn't be, is that if you're new to audiobook production, you might think, oh, I just need to hire some narrators to produce these audiobooks or to read these audiobooks, and then that's the main thing that needs to happen. And that way I will save money by just paying the narrators and I don't have to worry about anything else. But again, I want to come back to some of the points that I already made. There's a lot more to the process, and you put yourself at a lot of risk and challenge if you try to operate in that mode. So that was just a reminder about some of the risks and an encouragement to work with an audiobook production partner that you can rely on and trust. Let's take just a short pause and we'll come right back. There is nothing like a great book to transport you to new worlds. Here at Pro Audio Voices, we love working on projects that transport the listener. We pay attention to the details, like making sure we have actors that can clearly differentiate the character voices, making for a great listening experience. If you have a book that you would like to get into audio, and you're looking for a team with a personalized approach, Pro Audio Voices might be just the right fit. Come visit us at proaudiovoices.com. Okay, the next tip number 4, is distribute widely, not exclusively through Audible or through ACX. There are a lot of reasons to not put all of your eggs in the Amazon basket, some of which you are probably already aware of as you're in the publishing industry. And some of these I have also addressed in other episodes. But there are a lot of reasons why you do not want to go exclusive with Audible and iTunes. First of all, one of the things you should be aware of is that although they say they're going to pay 40% royalties on titles, they're not really being upfront about 40% of what. And there are a lot of other issues. If you Google Audiblegate, you'll learn more about some of those. There are lots of reasons, but let's just focus on the importance of getting your content out to the widest possible audience. That's your best chance for success. So why would you do anything differently? We choose as our audiobook distribution partner Authors Republic, and I highly recommend them. We also have an episode recently where I interviewed the COO of Authors Republic, and you might find that interesting as you think about distribution. And finally, tip number 5 is specific to audiobook production, and that is beware of the PFH. Beware of the per finished hour, unless you can afford overages on estimates. Per finished hour is the cost basis that is a standard in our industry for how to charge for the work of an audiobook production. So a narrator is often paid on a per finished hour basis. What does that mean? That means if I am, let's say, going to get $200 per finished hour, then no matter how many hours it takes me to do 1 hour of audio, I will get paid $200. In the audiobook industry, most people are producing audiobooks on a per finished hour basis. I have an episode that addresses this very specifically, this very topic. So I encourage you to listen to that. But in a nutshell, you are putting yourself at risk if you are working on a per finished hour basis because you're going into it not actually knowing what the project is going to cost. As a publisher, you obviously will recognize the risk of that scenario. Going into a project, you should know what it's going to cost you. And there are other ways to cost a project out that do not have to be per finished hour. Here's where the risk comes in. If a narrator slows down their pace in the recording of an audiobook, and this has the greatest impact in a long book, let's say 100,000 words or more, if the narrator slows down, a couple things happen. The narrator will get paid more for the project, and the client will pay more for the project. Now, I'm not saying that narrators do this deliberately or would do it deliberately, but it can happen very, very easily. And one thing I have observed over many years in this industry is that cost estimates tend to run on the low side, while actual cost typically will go higher than the cost estimate. So, if you are talking with an audiobook production company about producing audio for the books in your lists, then talk about this piece very specifically. What is the cost basis? Because once you are in contract for a project, no matter how much the person who is working with you has convinced you that their estimates are accurate or high or whatever they're saying, you just need to be aware that they don't have complete control over that situation. It's actually the narrator who is going to be setting the pace for the audiobook. So that's a wrap for my top 5 tips. I will have more for you in upcoming episodes. If you're looking for a production partner for your publishing company, I hope that you'll reach out to us. You can learn more at proaudiovoices.com and email us at pav@proaudiovoices.com. I look forward to talking with you about getting your titles into audio and maximizing your sales for the content you already have. Thanks for joining us for Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. Please take a moment to subscribe at audiobookconnection.com. The podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Learn more at proaudiovoices.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and please join us next week.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.